you going, folks? Dave in the shed. It's Wednesday morning. Going to start filming the update. Been a bit crook this early start this week, so it's not been good, but I've got some good news. Feeling a lot better today. Saturday, went up to Aldi. Aldi had the magnets, the work zone magnets on special again, so I grabbed a few of those. Love those. Done a rebuild on the old tool tray. So it's more magnets. I'll spin it around. So I've done a bit of upgrade on all the magnets on that. That's pretty Mickey Duck. Happy with that. I'll show you what else. One of the magnets I stuck here on the drill press tray. My language is playing up again today. It's a thing about the brain injury, good days and bad days anyway. So stuck one of the magnets up here, and look at this, I can spit the bits on it, and then you can stick all the stuff on it. I thought that was a brilliant idea, Dave. Good idea. So I've got that there. I've got a few spare that I've used for other jobs. What else I found when I was up there is some countersink bits. Countersink bits. I've got heaps already, but the best thing about this one goes up to 20 mil. You can actually use these one as long as you go careful. On metal up to 2 mil, they say, plastics, woods, all sorts of stuff. But I've never had one that big, so I grabbed those. I've overkill. Yeah, look at that big 20 mil. Ooh, nice. Also, the workbench needs a big tie. There's stuff everywhere. I have the secondary regulator out of the air set up. This is the one that was a low pressure air that was always leaking. I've bought a new one, and then I'll try and fix the old one. How's that? So the system is holding air, even though the compressor was on this morning and I've had lunch and done stuff. I've still got low pressure air, which is good. Sadly, I can't really show you. I can show you a picture, but one of the new lights I put in about 2 weeks ago is already blown. So I'll have a look at that. That's interesting. I've got bits and pieces here to have a go at another speed controller for the gates. Working on the lights. The new light transformer is in. The lights are running. I will give you a demo probably later in this video, not because I've still got some stuff to do. But yep, we're getting the lights up and running and closer. Have a look at that later in the week. What else? Hang on, let's go for a wander. Let's go. People get upset when I go for a wander because it's so unsteady and makes you sick. But look at this one. Anyway, so yeah, one of the lights, one of the new work lights is already, so we're a bit dim, but they are. This is my Jury Regear system. I went and got a cheaper. This is a regulator. This is a regulator only. Doesn't have the moisture trap on this one. Doesn't really need the moisture trap because it's the secondary air. This is the low pressure air. This is the high pressure air. We've talked about this before. I don't like using on the air outlets anything more than about 60 bar because it can be dangerous. Sorry, 4 bar, about 60 psi. So this one's a high air output. It puts out 120 psi, runs the big bits and pieces, the tools. We run all our air lines out. This is low pressure air to the rest of the workshop, to all the airline outlets for cleaning stuff. And now since I fixed the leak, well, I've removed the bit that was leaking, we're holding air in our low pressure air, which is amazing. I've never done that before. I have plans, and I will tell you this, although we'll never get it done, but in a couple of months' time, one of the winter jobs, I'm going to the old air compressor that's up in the back shed. The little yellow one that if you watch the videos for years, you've seen it before. I've got the new one. This is one that came out of Dad's workshop via a guy called Wally Fergwood. I rebuilt it when it came out of Dad's. I did a restoration on it and I rebuilt this. You can't see too well, but I rebuilt the regulators and the bits and pieces to make it safe. So I got new power switches, new air switches, new safety valves, and rebuilt it and pulled mine out because mine was getting a dicky. And that now the old yellow one, I think what I'm going to do is strip it down, pull the motor off it, turn it into a secondary air tank for when I'm running the plasma cutter. So it'll give me more air supply. So if we have 2 tanks, 1 compressor, yes, the compressor will have to long run to fill the 2 tanks, but then it'll switch off and it'll have time to cool down. We should be able to work longer off the 2 tanks. The less time the compressor is actually running, the better. Switching on and off and on and off and on and off is not good. If we halve our duty cycle, so it's only got to switch on, charge the 2 tanks up and then shut down, the more time it's off, it can cool, it can rest, and we're not annoying the neighbours. That's my theory, but we'll see about that down the track. It may all go horribly wrong. Yeah, look, work light up there. There was 2 new work lights put in. One to shine on each side of the workshop. One's already gone. I think I've got a spare bulb somewhere. I have to have a dig. What are we up to on the other stuff? Oh, this will make you. I won't tell you that story. We'll wait till parts arrive later in the week. But anyway, I just thought I'd jump in and say hi for on Wednesday. I'm going to try and, where this thing is leaking, I'm going to see if I can use some JB World. The screw thread on here has failed where the thread goes in. It's only a cast element. Let's see if I can use something like some JB World or something and probably fix it. But what happens is it happens all the time, is something's broken and then I go and buy a new one and then I play around and fix it and I manage to fix the old one. People say, why don't you just fix the old one? Because I really don't trust myself sometimes. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it right and get it fail, so I'm going to have to replace it. So, but it's always the case, is when I buy a new one, I then fix the old one's fine. But if this one is better, the one I put in will do. But if I can get this one working, it'll be even better because I like having the moisture traps a bit. Anyway, long story. The other good news, it's been stressing me out, the mighty little Hilux. My little ute went in for its pink slip and passed with flying colours. Nothing wrong. Years ago, I get a bit nervous because I used to spend a day or 2 going through the thing with a fine-tooth comb, making sure it was fine, and I'd take it up to the inspection station. Cars in New South Wales have to be inspected each year after they're 5 years old or 6 years old for safety inspection, make sure they're safe. Very interesting, but the car has to be safe on the road, but the roads don't have to be car safe. But anyway, yeah, I used to spend weeks, or not weeks, but a day or 2 going through with fine-tooth comb and checking it, and often it would fail over silly things. One unit failed because a brake light wouldn't work. And I'd done all through and tested it. We couldn't have got there. But these days, last couple of years, I've been relaxed. I just go up there, and it's passed without a problem. So it's like quite funny when I think, if they find something, I'll just have to deal with it and fix it. But last 2 years, take it up there for its pink slip. Yep, not a problem. So it's passed already. So that is one of those things where I know it's going to pass, but you're not quite sure, and you get yourself a bit stressed. Anyway, that's done. It's passed. Truck's done for a year. That's it. I've got some other news to talk about, but I can't talk about it yet. Still waiting for more details, but that's about it for a Wednesday. I'm going to crack on. I am a bit poorly this week, so I'm just doing little bits and pieces. So I thought I'd better make this video on Wednesday in case I don't get to Friday and got nothing to tell you, but that's where we're up to. So, yeah, I've got, look at this. Yep, I didn't tell the full story about letting the magic smoke out of the controllers on my magic opening gates. But anyway, that's a story, and I'm rebuilding that. I've ordered some parts to fix the lighthouse. Well, not to fix the lighthouse, to try and get it slowly. The lighthouse it's not happy with me because when I put the voltage in and lowered the voltage, it comes on and it's nice, but it doesn't flash, and a few other bits and pieces with lighting up the town, but we'll talk about them later. That's it for a bit on Wednesday in a chat. Talk to you later in the week. Well, talk to you later in the week, but it'll probably be the same video. Stick your finger there, Dave. Oh, get your finger out of the road, Dave. Well, good afternoon. Well, actually, good morning. Well, look, let's just say hi, ladies and gents, boys and girls, anybody watching this video. It's now Friday. I'm not having the best week in the world. I've been a bit, well, not really unwell, but my brain's just been not cooperating this week, so I've just, fallen in a heap. Now, I do realise, saying this now, there is a problem with last week's video, so I'll have to do a re-edit of that again and try and get that out, so you probably get a double bonus. And also, today, I'm going to have a crack at a more video, 2 things. When I was first started using the plasma cutter, I had the hassle with keeping the air supply up to it. Well, it wasn't a matter of keeping the air supply up, is when I was running the plasma cutter and the air compressor kicked in, it would blow the electrical circuit. I'd overload the circuit. So my workaround at the time was to fully charge the air compressor, turn it out, run the plasma cutter, and then finish the job, and then recharge the air compressor, which worked well. So I'm looking for a more permanent solution. Well, the ideal thing is just rewire the shed and put a larger service in. Well, that's about $30,000. That's not going to work. The other option would be, well, we just go to a bigger air compressor. Once again, the air compressor I've got, it's not the air pressure, it's the storage. So, yeah, we're spending to go to a bigger storage compressor. We're probably looking about between, depending on the quality, you're looking at 5 to 10 grand for a industrial type air compressor with a very big storage tank. Look, really don't want to spend that. So I've been spending my downtime looking at YouTube videos. And the other option is, hey, I've got this old air compressor. Well, how about we run 2 air compressors? Yeah, that's a good idea. It'll give me more supply. But then we're running 2 air compressors off a power supply instead of 1. And that's like the power supply issue cuts us in. Because if both air compressors then recharge at the same time and running the plasma cutter, we're dead in the water again. So been watching YouTube videos, and that's... So I just got and dragged this out of the back shed. This is an old air compressor I had before I got the blue one and restored it. So I've looked at it. Just before I decommissioned this, I did some work on it and cleaned it all up and then put it away because I was going to try and sell it or give it away. But looking at you, like I've decided, why don't we make an auxiliary air tank? So what we do is I've gone to Bunnings this morning and I bought them all out of fittings. All the Nitto fittings that I could get, I bought them. And what I was thinking of is actually turning this into an auxiliary air tank. So what it would do is when my air tank is, when a compressor is running, it's filling 2 tanks. So while it's running, it'll be running twice as much, filling 2 tanks, but it will then give me the longer air supply to run the thing. Anyway, that's changing the duty cycle. Now there is some risk with this because if you do it wrong, it could blow yourself up. Like I'm always sort of like in the Darwin Awards, so that's a risk. Now, I'm going to run this. I'll show you how I've done it later, if it works. If not work, well, we'll just say, look, this is what I tried, didn't work. So that's the point of what I'm going to try and do. Blowing this tank doesn't worry me because I'm going to be running it off the other tank, so we're only going to be hopefully charging this tank to 120, which is designed to run off. We'll try that. So what that would be give me is not double, but almost giving me extra half, again, air pressure supply. So if I charge my main tank, anyway, I'll talk about when I've done it and show you what we've done. But that's what I'm going to get on with. I've also, the lights, funny story, the extra light fittings arrived. I was talking to the bloke about it because I wanted some 600mm fittings, I didn't want the 30. He said, why don't you just join 2 30s together? Yeah, good one, Dave. These are light fittings, and I'll show you when we've done it. The 30cm lamps come with a connector, and you can join 2 30s together and you get your 60. That's a long short. So here I'm going, no, I want this. The funny thing, why don't you just join 2? Oh, yeah, okay, obvious. Okay, so that's another job we're going to try and get done today. And I've also got to do some video re-editing to fix that other video stuff up. But anyway, we'll see how we get on. Talk to you later in the morning, or later in the day, or later in time anyway. Get underway, Dave. Do what you have to do. See what happens. So I've got me coffee. Yeah, it's a Dave Project coffee. Got the air compressor on the bench. I stripped down its covers. Roughly what I plan to do is on the inlet side is I'm going to put an air fitting on so we can charge the tank up. On the output side we'll put a fitting so we can take air out. I'm going to strip the rest of the tank off. Now before I go too far, hello pussycat. Here comes the assistant. He's coming to tell me what's going on. He wants to warn you about these things on top of the engine, people. These are big white things that look like tanks. They are the starting capacitors for the engine. They're like a turbo boost to get the thing starting. So they hold a charge and they whack it through the system, roughly without going to physics, when the electrical motor is starting. Now, these things hold a charge, quite a big charge. You've got to be very, very careful if you're pulling apart motors with capacitor resistant starters on them, because these things can, even though it's plugged in and disconnected, those things could still potentially have a charge in them, a lethal charge. If not, it'll sit you on your rear end and you'll know them. So yes, if you're pulling down motors and they have these big cans on them, often there's 1 or 2, controlled there by a centrifugal switch, which is in there. Play carefully, discharge the system. Put a screwdriver across the power plug lead really should show you on a video how to do, but electrical motors with starting capacitors, even this one that hasn't been run for a while, can be lethal. That's a warning. Okay, so these are starting capacitors. There is a centrifugal switch, there's a cattail. So when it gets up to, it dumps this energy stored in these things into the motor. When it runs up to speed, it turns them off. It's like a reverse turbocharger on a car that kicks in when you've got enough revs. These things kick in when you don't have enough revs. And they will boot you. These ones are rated, without going too much, what are they, 250 volts. They can store that quite well. So you've got to be careful pulling around appliances. Please don't try this at home. If you don't know what you're doing, you've been warned by Dave. Well, I've managed to strip it all down. I'm now left with a tank. The air compressor is sitting on the floor over here, and the sensor switch is over here. Now, some people may be saddened to hear that I didn't set myself on the arse playing with these capacitors. I did it safely, so it was rather painless. That could be disappointing with anybody. Look, if anybody wants an air compressor or know of any projects to use with an old air compressor, let me know. I've got the air compressor. Unfortunately, the switch has had it. You'd have to put a new switch in. Well, not so much the switch, the cover on the switch fell apart. The old Bakelite fell apart, so the switch is fine. Pressure sensor switch, the safety valve on it would be fine. The gauge is probably fine, but the rest of it, yeah. So if you've got a project for a air compressor or that, let me know. We'll have a look at that. We'll have a play with that. That could be fun. But anyway, yeah, it was pain-free so far. I'm going to take this tank out and actually give it with a hose because it is absolutely filthy. And the best thing about this tank is, because it's going to be used as an air tank, we can go and clean it with a hose. We don't have to worry too much about putting moisture in it because it's got a blowdown valve. We can clean the moisture out later. But anyway, that's my next thing. Yeah, and then we'll look at putting some fittings on it and see what happens. A little bit concerned, and I've got to do some thinking about how we're going to deal with the sensor line. This is the line that used to run to the pressure switch that would start and stop the compressor to control the amount of air going in the tank. I didn't think about that. Yeah, got to do some thinking about how we do that. We might do the old the Fridge Tech solution, just crimp the hose off and squeeze it tight and hope for the best. Fill it full of silicone or something. We might have to do that, or see if I can dodgy some fitting. But that's interesting. Now, what I am planning at this stage, I plan to use this end as a air inlet and use this other end as an air outlet. But that's anyway. This is a make it up as you go along. I don't have any set plans. I've just watched a few YouTube videos on what people have done, and we will see what we can come up with. Anyway, I'm going to go and give this a hose. Go and give it a tub. Because I've just finished giving this thing a tub outside, and it's come up far better. It's got a lot of the grease and muck and dirt off. There's still spots where you could give it a bit more clean, but you can now touch it and play with it and not get covered in leftover crap. Now, don't tell anybody, but I did take a visit to the cupboard of cleaning products that I, likes of me, are not normally allowed to play with or enter, and borrow some products from that. And there's a scrubbing brush that came up horribly dirty that I've had to put up in the back shed and say, oh yeah, that'll be used for cleaning chainsaws in the future. But anyway, apart from that, we're ready to move on to next stage, and let's see what mischief we can, putting some fittings on this and putting some air in it. See if we can get air in and see if we can get air out. Yeah, that'll be the next step. Not really sure what to do with this yet, but we'll make it up as we make it up as we go along. It might be just a way of working out a fancy plug to seal that up, because that is where my air goes in technically. Okay, let's play on. Well, I've been fiddling around with this. Now, there's still a bit of an air leak in my system. It is leaking out this safety valve, so I will have to find a new fitting, because I do want to have an air pressure gauge on it. I just ratted the bits off the old pressure switch. But anyway, I've done a bit of a jiggly pokely, and no word of a lie, I have 4 bar 60 psi in this tank. Look. I plugged the air line into it, and I wanted to charge it up to blow all the muck out, because it had more muck than what I expected. Something happened that was unexpectedly. I just whacked an air line in and charged it. I expected air to come shooting out this valve here. It didn't. Because logic says, and I didn't realise after, I was worried about that valve. That was when I was saying earlier, you have to do something like that. That's a one-way valve, which makes sense because when the air compressor is running and pumping air in here, you don't want the air coming out and feeding back into the compressor. So this is what they call a clack valve, a one-way valve. So why this tank has air in it, air's not going to come out there. I should have realised that. One of those things of engineering, like I just plugged the air line on a fitting and charged the tank up and opened the release and thought, hang on, there's no air coming out there. Saves a lot of work. I will later have to look at investigating putting a plug in that because I don't like it hanging off the side. But anyway, we have air. Now, I'm going to run this about 60 to 90 PSI. I wouldn't put any, it'll go to 120, but I think that's about it. That's about the maximum. I will later put a proper valve here. I do like to see a valve to see what's happening, but that the safety valve is leaking, which is probably a good blessing. I left that on there, and it's probably a good idea to have that so you don't blow the system up. But there you go. It's a little bit of hodgepodge, but it works and it stores air. Just to prove it, look. I'll close this valve. That is the line from the compressor. So that is air escaping. And I'll open the charge line now and fill the tank up. So that is filling up off the main air compressor reservoir. It should back refill to and the compressor has fired up. I'm not going to do it today. It'll be a next week job, but I'll have to go to the auto supply place and get another valve like I put on the other compressor to do that, so we just regulate. It's more of an indication, but also it'll help regulate what's coming out of this tank. But there you go. I can't believe that. That's just Mickey Duck. I thought that valve there was going to be my downfall. I will find some way of blocking it up and later doing something, but there you go. That is the auxiliary tank charged up. Well, I'm going to go off and have some lunch and we'll come back and work on our lighting. But anyway, yeah, well, the things you think about that keep you awake at night and going, I wonder if, I wonder this. And I looked on YouTube and other people have done it, different tanks and different systems, but there you go. That's our auxiliary air tank. Charged up, holding air. I'll get out of your way now. I'm going to go and turn that big compressor off so I don't annoy the neighbours too much. But I'm just going to charge this up and let it leak, I suppose, for a bit. Just showing you that all the warehouse lights and the factory lights are on up here. Looks pretty good. Well, this is the end of this week's edition of I Don't Believe That Stupid Monkey Did That. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. Look at that. I've pulled out that safety valve and temporarily just whacked the bolt in its place. I will try and source a proper safety valve. This unit was decommissioned and taken out of service because that safety valve was leaking and causing problems, and it wasn't worth patching up, so I just put the machine aside. But anyway, recycle, reuse, lives again. It's holding air at 60 bar, which is what we need for the plasma cutter and a lot of the tools around the place. It probably would go to 120, but I'm happy at 60. It's holding air, it's doing well. I'll charge the system up and I'll leave it running just to see how long it takes. I did find another air leak in one of the other air hoses, which is rather interesting, that nothing related to this project. I thought that's strange, we're not holding air, we're losing air, but I did find that in one of the on the main compressor. Anyway, that's it for this week. Before I go, I will show you one more thing, which is I've installed the lighting, the extra thing. Silly Dave, what about that? Not realising until somebody said, hey, you can join the 30 centimetre lights together and make a 60 centimetre light. So there we go. We put those in there. Yes, it'll smear it out. We'll go and have a look from the other end. So that is with that LED there. It just finishes all those LEDs along there nicely. That setting, so we can put all the lights on and light things up. Just fills out that spot at the end. But that's it for this week. I've got to give the shed away for today because I've got some other stuff I do have to go and do. But next week I can potter on and do some of bits and pieces. So come back and visit. Now don't forget to like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the videos if you don't already do. And please leave a comment, even if it is, you are stupid, you're going to kill yourself, you should get a Darwin Award. Yep, happy to see. But share the video, like, make comments, because Facebook relies on it. Otherwise, if I don't get enough traffic, my videos will just disappear and they go, nah, we're not having you on our platform. Anyway, I've been Dave. This is spending time in my shed. Hopefully we'll catch up next Friday. Until then, take care, but get out there and do something. You don't know what you're capable of until you have a go. If some harmless fella like me can do it, it's all good. Well, I'm not really harmless. I'm just brainless. So that's it from Dave in the Shed. Catch you next week. Take care.